Righty. Good evening, everybody. How's it going, everybody? Good evening. Happy Sunday. As always, we'll give everybody just a moment to hop in here. So I turn on the other streams. Alrighty. All right, let me tweet this out. How's it going, everybody? Any requests, anything like that will all be taken in the YouTube channel. The link is in the bio for the YouTube channel. So if you guys are on TikTok, you can join us there. Oh, wow. Good evening. What's up, y'all? All right. So everybody's kind of piling in here. Give them just a minute. How's you guys' weekend going? Cat, BA, Macy's. Yeah, we will. We'll take a look at all of those stocks. I am gonna go over a few things that I'm watching tonight. It's not gonna be like a normal charting session tonight. Um, I got a lot of things to do bright and early in the morning before I even get to the desk. So I'm gonna have to get up at like 4:30 tomorrow morning. So can't be doing too much, but um yeah. The link is in my bio. Link is in my bio if you guys are trying to get to the YouTube channel. So, alrighty, so let's go ahead. It looks like everybody's kind of piling in here, and we're just going to go over some brief headlines here. Right off the bat, guys, just looking back at the last week, we saw the NASDAQ up, making the most gains, up 1.2% or 0.2%. The S&P only up 0.18%. The Russell pulling back almost 2%, 2.8, or not almost, but over 2% at 2.86%. Then you also have the Dow pulling back at around 1.46% as well. Over the weekend, we actually saw a little bit of recovery here from some of our coins, including Bitcoin, Ethereum, but most of them, after taking the big spill, have been and remaining are down at those original levels. So I will be expecting to see some crypto stocks as well following suit. Um, Now, earnings season, that's one of the main things, that I like to look for as a catalyst. I'm going to bring this in really quickly. This week is not a super exciting week, but it's probably the last, or is one of the last full weeks of decent earnings. Obviously, Thursday, there is no trading, or there are no stocks, excuse me, reporting on Thursday. But other than that, we have some decent companies like NIU. We also have Dollar Tree, XBEV, Best Buy, Gap, Nordstrom. So some of those retailers going into Black Friday and the holiday seasons, those are going to be some of the top watches as well. Now we also go to our economic calendar and take a look at the data that we have coming in this week. So November 22nd, existing home sales, the impact of those relatively high, at least according to the briefing.com. We also have on November 23rd, we have market manufacturing services. Big massive amount of data coming in here on the 24th of November. Initial claims, continuing claims, GDP second estimate, GDP chain deflator. So we may see a little bit of a pop I did swing some Apple puts. It wasn't a huge position. Apple, just if you go look at the chart, um, you know, I do think that it could see some further continuation, but I do think that we could start the week with a small pullback and then kind of push in to the rest of the week and then kind of fade out as we approach this I think this Friday. So but we have a ton of economic data coming in, retail inventories, wholesale inventories, personal income, spending income, PCE prices, new home sales, natural gas, so FOMC minutes as well. So a lot of economic data, and that also lines up with Black Friday, which we normally will see a pullback around that date. So um, what's up, yo? Thank you, Amber. Yeah, we'll take a look at those. So one of the ways that I like to choose a stock is usually by momentum that is past and so oftentimes, just like we're looking at here, I'll go back to last week and I'll go look at some of the companies that have had earnings, and see, did they move? Did they respond? Where are they at? Do they have gaps above them now, et cetera, et cetera. So I oftentimes will do that. JMIA fell really hard. HD ended up pushing up. So I'll look at stocks that have momentum or have had a reason to move, and then I'll go and take a look at them. So obviously, Nvidia, Target, Digital Ally, Lowe's, some of those stocks could still be big going into the holiday season. And Nvidia, Lowe's is actually on my watch list as well. So we'll go over Lowe's. HD also has a decent setup as well. Big gap ups on both of those. You could see one last leg up from I think maybe even 425 to 415 around for HD could be in the card. So anyway, so just to give you guys a brief update on what I am doing or looking at this week. Now, one of the reasons why, the main reason why I am not necessarily shorting Apple, but swinging into a pullback position, right? Because if you look at the daily, right, somebody that's looking to try and take this after three massive green candles, you're kind of chasing. So looking for a healthy pullback, totally understandable. We know that Apple can run, right? Especially after earnings season. As you can see here, you kind of sit flat. Earnings season, you kind of sit flat and you make your way up. But you don't do that without having some sort of pullback. Now, going down to the hourly time frame, or excuse me, the 4 hour time frame, you can kind of see we even almost get that 3 bar play. And in my opinion, there is the original factor, right? And that is the standard deviation channel. So not only have I had and maintained a 160 price target on Apple, just like I had the 132 or 135 price target for Apple to the downside going into earnings, excuse me, after earnings last time, I had a 135 price target based off of the same method that I'm using now. This is a standard deviation channel. It is normally meant to track long-term trends. Some brokers and chart services will actually have this automatically. It's actually built in, so you can just it's auto-generated, so it does the work for you. But in this case, obviously, I've drawn this, but you can see that we are slap up against this standard deviation channel, which doesn't mean that it's over. And I discussed this last week. We did not just immediately stop at that standard deviation resistance. Normally, sometimes you can consolidate. One example that I want to give you that could prove me wrong, well, not necessarily wrong. It's not a matter of being wrong or right. It's a matter of, will this break trend or not. So with Microsoft, right? Microsoft had maintained a standard deviation channel, looked really good, and I thought that 320, 315 would likely be the max for Microsoft. Underestimated that we could actually see, after so many taps of resistance, we could see an actual breakout. And that would likely set us up on a new trend. And it takes a minute to obviously read the data, go in and establish a new deviation channel. But at the moment, it does appear that it has set a new trend for for the short term. So that being said, I'm not getting too ahead of myself. And again, this is just going to be a pullback, profit taking, maybe even just a retest of 150, 159, 50, 160 area is likely where I will be paying attention to. So how's it going, everybody? Guys, I know everybody's thank you. If you have requests on TikTok, I will not be able to see them. It's not that I'm ignoring you, but I am watching my YouTube requests right now. I am not also going to be able to get to all of these requests on here. I'm just going to be picking random ones tonight. It's a little bit different. This isn't a charting session. Just going to be going over my watch list and some of the economic, obviously, we already have stuff to come. So the cut. Sony? Yeah, we could do that. Well, actually, I would actually kind of look at one of the reasons why I want to look at Sony movies, stuff like that, but EA, I think I don't know, and to be honest with you, I don't track EA enough, but EA was kind of falling off a cliff this last Friday, just absolutely plummeting. I actually think that this game that they put out, which I also agree is kind of doo-doo sticks, but um mostly just because I can't play it, but it could actually see some lows all the way down at 128. So I will and have been thinking about kind of following its suit and shorting it down, but we'll take a look at those. So anyway, another one that we're going to be watching, yeah, I think an EA may dump as well. So another one that I'm going to be watching here, guys, is we're going to be paying attention to Nvidia. Nvidia does have some signs of weakness. It is a little bit overbought. Um, but I do think that it could see one last pop up a little bit above 330, but this is a psychological number, and I'm just going to keep it simple because honestly, it's no need to dig into this chart right now the way that it looks without actually seeing the open tomorrow. How we open up is going to determine everything. If we gap down, I'll more than likely be looking for a bounce and a break. If we gap down and we fill our gap and reject, then I will be expecting a pullback and watching for Nvidia to pull back as well. I know that there are a multitude of different companies, not only the ones that I'm watching, but like TSM, that a lot of retail people are watching right now to break out of this zone for a potential. And TSM actually looks wonderful. It looks great. I went over this play last week. You can drop this line right here. Obviously, you can see this is right around where it's getting stopped out at the moment. But once it gets above that mark is 126, you could see a breakout from there. MU also putting on a kind of a show as well, where I do expect a little bit of a pullback to 82.25, but you should see a bounce there and maybe even a break up into the $85 level. So obviously, if those move, then there is a decent chance that we could see the other chip boys move as well. So Activision CEO might be leaving pending if he can't fix the issues he won't fix. Yeah, more than likely. Sure, Battlefield. I finally got Battlefield working on my computer, but I also have to get a graphics card. I see a lot of people joining us on from TikTok, from YouTube, or excuse me, joining us on YouTube from TikTok. One thing that I wanted to ask you guys, if you guys are not following me on Twitter or following Simple Stacks Investments on Twitter, make sure you guys go do that. And if you guys are interested in 6 months free in the Discord channel, that means one-on-ones, live trading every single day, meetups on the weekend, going forward into next year, then you guys just go and follow our new Instagram. It's not the Instagram in my link tree, but it is the Instagram that is on my Twitter. So make sure you guys go to the front page of my Twitter. It's pinned there. So I appreciate you guys. So other than that, and I'm actually going to pull up something for you guys really quickly. Hold on. Yes, I've seen a lot of people talking about Macy's. Now that's, I'll just go ahead and jump into this. So Macy's, I know a lot of you guys shorted Macy's with me. That was actually kind of a fun, easy not easy, but laid back play. I kind of figured that Macy's, especially if it lost that $37 mark, would likely fall. And now that it's kind of gotten close to the gap, I expect bears to likely pull this down. One of the things that I look for most of the time when I'm looking for a pullback is I like to see whether or not the EMAs are lagging. So if they're lagging behind the price action, then that means it's easier to get that pullback. And so that's kind of what I'm going to be paying attention to for Macy's. Now, I do expect 33.50 where that wick is at the moment. And it is not out of the question that we could see other retail sympathy affect Macy's directly. We have Nordstrom reporting. We have a lot of those other companies reporting, not a lot, but a decent amount, I believe. We'll go take a look at that before we just start talking about it. So let's go look next week. Hold on, what do we got? So Gap Incorporated, Nordstrom. Dick's Sporting Goods in there. Abercrombie and Fitch, AO. It's my son's name. And I think that was about it, at least for Tuesday. So I'm not looking to test my luck too much, right? And catch sympathy. And if you did leave runners and those companies didn't do well and they pulled back as a whole, then yeah, your play would probably go really well, and maybe you don't see that gap get filled. But Macy's has a gap, 33.50, and then fills at 32.60. So it's up to you if you get. Well, I guess in actuality, it would probably finish around $32, but that's obviously has a lot to do with the sympathy companies as well. So I don't have the Twitter. What is the Instagram name? There is two Simple Stacks investments. Look them up. Look them up. The one with the newest post is going to be our newer one. I will be deleting the old one, but I'll be posting about the new one here relatively soon. So Adam, UAA. I'll take a look at it. Again, if you guys have any questions here on TikTok, those questions will more than likely be answered in my YouTube. So if you guys want to, you guys can hop in there, and that's where I'll be able to take those requests or answer your question. I have already been in Macy splits, so I'm kind of going into. So all right. Anyway, that's Macy's at the moment. So we will see a little bit of continuation, I'm sure, to the downside, but it could also stay in range on Monday in sympathy of the other stocks, and we'll see how we perform then. So, one other one. Now, I know you guys are not super familiar with Maxar. This is one of my favorite companies. Why? I can't even say that the fundamentals are that great. Um, I just think the company is really cool. And that's about what brought me to it originally. But it runs in sympathy of space plays. ASTS did have a launch, I believe, or ASTR, one of those, I forget which one, did have a launch, which could obviously bring attention to the space sector. But at the same time, if we do not, and Maxar actually did make a move to the downside here and started going into its gap. And that's what I want to talk about here is if we do not see a response from that, then I am actually going to and this is almost more for experimental and also to help other people feel out what it feels to trade the downside. Because more than likely, running into dividends, we could see Maxar go and fill the majority or the remainder of its gap, at least back down to the 28.50 mark, which it inevitably will likely bounce. But I am going to take a long short position, okay? And the target for that short position will be the 27.50 mark. Now I'm going to buy options, right, in order to execute this trade, and it's going to be speculative. Okay, so it is in speculation that this gap will get filled. I'm basing it off of technicals. I also know that historically Maxar is going to probably pull back. Their dividends aren't anything that's exciting at all, and I'm also seeing that a lot of people there has been some insider selling as well. But Other than that, if we don't see a response in the space sector from the launches that we just saw, more than likely we will not. So, um, how's it going, everybody? I will take a look at those stocks here in just a second. One second, guys. Just pulling up something. All right. So I want to look at one more thing, or excuse me, two more things, and then I'll let you guys. I'll take some requests from you guys, but I'm going to be taking a look at AMAT. Now AMAT had earnings, and as you guys well know, it pulled back really hard. It did end up trying to go and fill some of its gap, and then just immediately pulled back. Pretty hard. Just like looking at it V-shaped, reverse V-shaped. So right now sitting at that level of 150, that's a psychological level. And if it breaks 150, I'm going to be utilizing the pivot points here. I am expecting the 147.50 mark to get hit on AMAT to the downside. So I will be watching AMAT as well, for that pullback there, where it wouldn't be a good place to take a quick day or a long leap speculatively, but I do think you could start rounding or making a round bottom. And then secondly, one of the last ones, and again, I'll update you guys on these more in depth tomorrow morning, but Oracle, the or last thing I wanted to show you guys on Oracle, getting rid of these pivot points, is that Oracle had a bit of what looks to be a flag. It is running into earnings, so it has a future catalyst. Let me go right here. So the one thing that worried me was unfortunately the pullback that we saw off of that whole ribbon indicator in the top of that demand supply zone, excuse me, underneath you. So right now I'm looking for Oracle to bounce at 34.50. If we do not bounce at 34.50, then unfortunately we are going to take a trip down to $92. And unfortunately, after taking a loss on an Oracle trade, I'll probably take that trade to the downside, not necessarily to make up for my losses, but just executing the trade to the downside as a hedge, because I still have them. So anyway, that's about it, guys. There are a few randoms that I'm watching as well. Again, Lowe's, HD, Costco, and I will update you guys. I like to look at things a little bit more in depth on the open in order to get a better look at them. So yeah, I'm just getting ready for the market. So alrighty, Battlefield is super lagging. All right, so I'm gonna just scroll up, guys, and I'm going to take a look at each one of your guys' stocks, and we'll go from there. But before I do, I got to turn on my fan because it's hot as hell. All right, so we'll do a handful of these, and then we're just gonna go ahead and call it a day, a night, and we'll talk more in the morning. All right, so we'll go take a look at BA here. So one of my most leastest, not favoritist, I don't like. I actually, I don't know if you guys have heard me say this before. I do not play Boeing at all. I gave it up. I think some people are actually here for that. My P&L on Boeing is dramatic. My P&L is all over the place, on BA. Sometimes really big gains, sometimes no gains, and a lot of the times, unfortunately, red on BA. And that's because it's not one of the stocks that you can play off of news. It's not first of all, the fundamentals, they just bleed cash. BA, as much as everybody wants to believe that they're America's aeronautical sweetheart, they are just bleeding money constantly, and it's not a company that I would be looking to put my money into long term. Now, as far as trading conditions, what just happened on BA is you filled a gap on the daily, and you can go and see that right here. Excuse me. So right here. So I'll highlight that a little bit more so it's easier to see. So you filled a gap. A lot of the times after you fill a gap, you will go ahead and bounce at least or even retest that gap. So you may see, especially with the Dow not having a green week, maybe you see a slight rebound. Now you also have a gap to the upside on BA. A BA gap starts at 225.35, which is a psychological number, and it's probably going to close around 227.18 to the upside. So do watch for that gap to potentially get filled to the upside. Now at the moment, it's pretty big pullback there with a lot of volume, so it's not outside of the question to see Boeing pull back a little bit further. And I would probably say somewhere in this range here. Let me fix that up. So 210 right there, psychological number, of course. Would be likely the level that you would see underneath that. And then below that, you also have, and I'm going to pick this one up because I like the top, and that's going to be 208. And you're going to have a bottom right there at 205.50. So those are two levels below you that you can keep an eye on for Boeing. But at the moment, again, it's not looking too hot after filling that gap. So he did bounce right at that gap. So you said I stay away from BA. My main question is PayPal's dropping. You want my honest opinion on that one? I think they're just trying to shake people out. I think they delayed the initial this. Okay, so if anybody remembers my analysis on PayPal, I told you guys that these were very weak candles and that more than likely we were going to pull back. Rollman also expressed his warnings to the downside, it basically saying that there was going to be a better opportunity to buy PayPal in the 190s. Now, oftentimes after 3 red candles or 3 green candles on the daily, solid and bearish, more than likely you're going to get a bounce. So here's what to look for on PayPal. You want to see a pullback and then a dramatic V-shaped recovery and flat. Now, what does that look like? That is more than likely going to look like a doji, long-legged doji, or just a green doji period. And that's what you would want to see as sign of a reversal. Now you still, if you zoom out here on PayPal, right? So we're right here, okay? That's our mark at the moment. That's where we're sitting. We could, and it wouldn't be outside of the question, to go down and tap 190. Now, if 190 doesn't hold, that wouldn't be outside of that wouldn't be unusual either, considering where this supply or demand underneath us is. And I would say that 185 looks strongest to me. But there is the 184 and 183.50 marks underneath it. But 185 would be where I would likely see PayPal. And I think you buy when there's blood in the streets. You buy when things are really red. And this is one of those fundamental companies that I think it's getting about time to buy, especially after retesting this major zone below you. So that being said, obviously we're going to want to check those psychological numbers as we get to them. It isn't outside of the question to see PayPal retest 200 relatively soon, but it is also in the same breath could go and tap off of 190. The preferred thing would be to gap down. If we gap down, I'm all over PayPal. And I would recommend doing the same, because that psychological bounce there is going to attract buyers, and more than likely, if there's a gap, you're going to get high frequency traders jumping in there too. Now, one thing that I will warn you guys, period, end of story, it's kind of outside of this. If you guys are scalping, day trading gaps, daily gaps 50% mark, so measure that out, is normally where I take profit. Period, end of story, because that's normally where you get smacked. And then that goes for the hourly. If the hourly gaps get filled on your weekly contracts, get out. And that's just take profit when that gap fills, because so do high frequency traders, which will cause an initial pullback. So I feel like SQ would be a much better choice than PayPal. Well, I think it's all a matter of preference, right? It's still one of those like OG companies. It's not quite an Apple, it's not quite a Microsoft, but it's up there. So, um, thank you. I appreciate that. So Tendy Man 420, yeah, can confirm I am that high frequency trader. Gap full, get out. Thank you. Cool. I love it when we get a little backcut there. If you guys are on the YouTube channel, if you guys are liking the stream, make sure to leave a like. I do appreciate it. The YouTube lords appreciate it. Um, thank you. TikTok lords too. Thank you guys. If you guys are digging the stream in here, make sure to leave a like. I appreciate it a lot. Thank you for the roses. Is this Forex? No, Forex is not me. Neo is probably a long hold. Yeah, at this point, you see, and this is the thing, guys. It sucks, but at the end of the day, sometimes things get too ahead of you. But if you're not, if you're more interested in the investment and you've done your fundamental research and your conviction is strong, it shouldn't matter where you buy. It's just and if you're a smart buyer, you're buying little bits at a time. And that way, if you feel the conviction that you feel and you feel that that company will continue to go higher, you're not talking about it in a year. You're not talking about it in 2 or 3 years. You're talking about it in 5, 6, 10, 20 years. You're talking about sustained like growth, building, and especially with these speculative companies, it takes time. And a lot of people aren't necessarily looking at the gains, but they're just more or less looking at what are the milestones coming next in this company that I can invest in. So my pick of the week is BRLT. What's your reason behind that? Nice. Yeah. We'll take a look. You know what I haven't done today is I need to go ahead and pull up Benzinga Pro, unfortunately. Or not unfortunately. I don't know why I said unfortunately. Um there it is. One of the things I do like to utilize is the block trades. So if you guys go and I'll just we'll stream this here for a second. So take a look at this. Um, so these are the block trades, and this is one of the things that I do. Is I go through and I basically look at the major block trades that came in. Um, I'll take a look at Netflix here shortly. Um, but one of the things that I like to do is look at these block trades, and a lot of times it's just a matter of like size. Obviously, you know things like FCX, right? Or Disney or DKNG, getting those major block trades. One of the trades that we took a while ago, I don't know if you guys remember this one, but it was Flex. Now, Flex moved. I think we filled somewhere in this mark around here. It dipped on us, and then it went all the way back up. And we saw major block trades going in on Flex at this mark, millions of dollars worth. And then somewhere out of nowhere, of course, they ran all the way up to 1950 before pulling back. But nonetheless, they do often tip me off to potential moves or so like things like DKNG getting ready to go and hit that bottom. And then, Penn, Disney, all of these stocks. If I see major block trades going into downtrends, ooh, hold the fucking phone. Hold the phone. Hold on. Look at that. Oh shit. We need some milk. Look at this thing, dude. Damn. Look at this thing. We might have to play Disney. Shit. Excuse my language, guys. I'm gonna get kicked off of YouTube. Okay, so I'm gonna add that one to the watch list. See, look at that. I just go and look at the block trade, major block. So let's go see where's that block trade at on Disney. That's a falling wedge right there, y'all. 1.1 million at 154 even. Look at that. Let's go down to the 1 minute. Look at that. Big old spike in volume. Dumb money opens the market. Smart money closes it. I'm trying to get some dumb money. Let's go. All right, so we're gonna have to set up a little play. Well, let me tell you what. This happens to be one of my favorite setups of all time. This is the Falling Wedge. Now, what do I usually do? I'm gonna buy this thing on Monday. So this is exactly what I'm gonna do, and I'm gonna tell you guys what strike and everything. So that I'm gonna be looking for. Let me go pull up my option chain. I'll answer some questions here here on TikTok a little bit more in depth. But if you guys want, most of the questions, if you have them, are going to be answered on my YouTube channel. So, did I crash the Matrix again? I have been fiddling with it. Yes. Thanks, guys. I appreciate that. I was looking a little shaggy. Had to get it done. One way gaming. Here, another Saba. Let's go. Do what? Oh, you talking about the Falling Wedge on Saba from before? Oh, I just signed into the wrong account. Hold on. I gotta sign into the right one. I don't even think I've ever signed into that one before. All right. So just real quick to break off of Disney, to take a look at this. So we actually have a really crazy setup right now. Now I don't suspect that this would get filled immediately, but I do like the Falling Wedge with the gap above it that might attract buyers. Now, here's what I would be looking for here from Disney. I would expect a retest of 158.38 or even a 160 retest. And that's likely, and we'll see here what strike we're going to grab. So the 160s for this week are $36. All right. So $36. And we're going to write that down. Do I look at any Canadian traded companies? Sometime. You said stocks fall fall week of Thanksgiving. So I'm not, it's usually the day of or the day before Black Friday, right? So that's what I mean by that. So Disney, Falling Wedge, a 160 call for November 26th. And I think so you could do this. You could do a 157.50, or you could even just do a 155, and then you could go out and do December 10th. Obviously, for those of you new, staying away from weeklies is not a terrible idea, but you could do December 3rd, and you could do the 160 strike there. And that one's also, if you're looking at December 3rd, that one is also with a decent delta. And it's sitting at 98 cents contract. So not bad. Not bad. I will take a look at that. Now, what are we going to do here as far as alerts? That's the main thing. So we need to have levels that we're looking for. So the first level that we want to break is the one that we lost, and that's going to be 54.25. So 54 is the 54.25. Second level, 54.85. So we have a room for leeway. I'm going to buy it, okay? Because I obviously have faith in my analysis. I see the pattern. It's obvious that's going to probably attract just retail in general, but as well as looking as if it has a decent bottom. You are seeing some higher or some consistency in the volume here. You do get a big push down and then immediately a rebound here in after hours. We did see that major block trade, so it could just be a simple leg up and a retest. 157, or excuse me, 157 even will be the first target. The second target will likely come right about that at 158. If we move up in any type of with any type of momentum, we might hold for those 160s. But Disney will be a decent day trade. So we're looking at this setup on the hourly, and more than likely going to be able to execute this as a day trade. Daily time frame, of course, we have a gap. I don't know if we're necessarily going to get that gap quite yet. We did fill a gap to the downside, but now we have a gap to the upside. So yeah, so that's what I'm gonna be looking for on Disney. That's a decent setup there as well. So let's take a look at some other ones that you guys were talking about. Netflix seems to be kind of a popular one. So Netflix double top. Now let me I'm trying to think of the double top. God, I have no life if I remember this. What's a double top that I remember? I don't know why Jamie seems like a double. Did I double top there? No, we didn't double top. We head and shoulders. DNG. I forget which one. I want to show you a better version of a double top. Yeah, not there. Just the first things that come to mind. All right. Well, unfortunately, I'm not going to spend all night double topping, looking for a double top. But I will say that normally, and you could even exclude this. So, like, let's say that this mark didn't exist and this was a little closer. That would more than likely be closer to a double top than the Netflix setup. So let's go take a look at Netflix. So this is what you would expect, right? Two clean rejections. Netflix is not really necessarily a clean rejection. You actually break out past that. Now that can change everything. It also shows there is going to leave volume up above us, and you still have a dynamic trend line that is more than likely going to come into play here as well. You have, hold on one second, Moderna, maybe. What is Moderna? I always forget Moderna's ticker for some reason. There it is. No. Well, maybe right there. That's a double top. Yeah, so there's a cleaner looking double top. Not exactly the right price mark, but close enough. Double top there. It's also a part of a larger pattern. So, it kind of is the finishing move there. But Netflix, I don't quite think that it's over yet. I think that you could actually see an ascending triangle, right? So you could see an ascending triangle. You also could see a rising wedge as well, right? So we don't know quite yet exactly what this is going to look like, but if we go down and Netflix drops here anywhere around 670, right? If we continue down just a little bit, 670, and I would say at the lowest, depending on how hard we drop, is 665. So 665. I'm actually going to set an alert there at 666.25. Evil. So yeah, that's let me just show you kind of what I'm thinking here. And people tell me don't try and guess the market. I'm not. I'm looking at both sides of the coin here. So boom, right? We're not going to see an immediate leg up. You might see some choppage here, and then hopefully we'll be able to take a long position before this break, right? So what now this is only speculative, right? But it's always good to be thinking about this type of stuff. What would you do? What are you going to do if this setup does play out? So if we do end up making or building a supply zone here, demand zone here, then I would be looking for this 670, 78 level and hoping that we would break that, and maybe even with some type of catalyst. Unfortunately, if COVID rates go up, you could see stay-at-home stocks like Netflix eventually go up. If gaming stocks go up, now Netflix is a part of that sector as well. So my next guess is that we're going to have VR movies, and Netflix will probably move into the VR space. Watch what I say, and that will send its stock up to the moon. So, Clevis Doga, you asked, how do I scan for a good trade? So, we never know if the trade is going to just be the best or if it's going to play out exactly the way that we want it. But a lot of the times, so I always metaphorically look at things. It's just how I understand the world around me, for the most part. But I look at it as almost like a block sale, like or a yard sale, or like a strip mall, maybe that's not even a good example, like a farmer's market. Like whoever has the biggest selection, or maybe even had an ad in the newspaper, right? What is attracting customers? Right, that's what I'm looking for. Do they have a new product? Do they have like the best looking vegetables? Were they featured in a magazine, Southern Living or something? Like I just was thinking farmers market, so this probably wouldn't be featured there. But that's kind of the way I look at things. So like earnings serves as a big for sale sign. News events, acquisitions, FDA approvals all serve as, hey, look at me. And then you essentially will look for it does take I think a bit of intuition and time in the market to understand, all right, is this a fundamental breakout, right? Is this going to really attract strong buyers? Is a firm partnering with Amazon, that's a catalyst. That attracts buyers. That attracts continuation. That attracts parabolic moves. That's what you're looking for when you're looking for a good trade. A good trade, obviously, like it's arbitrary because at some point, like you can execute a dollar move on a stock and have it be a good trade depending on your trading style. But if you're looking for a good solid trade with momentum and volume and not a lot of room for doubt, then you want to go where people are going because you got to follow the money. So that's kind of what I would say to that. And I use Benzinga Pro as a way to and those of you listening right here, but like Benzinga Pro is what I listen to in the morning. I'm looking for news to come in. A lot of the times before you guys see me start streaming, I have an app on my computer that reads headlines. So as the headlines come in, they actually, because I have ADHD like crazy, I can't sit there and stare at headlines and just read them, but it will just read out the headlines and as they come in. It's extremely annoying, but it works for me in order to get an idea of, okay, what exactly happening. Price target upgrades. So let's write this down. All right, let's you guys go grab a pen or something and write this down. What causes a stock to move? So price upgrade by a notable bank institution is going to likely move the stock. So price upgrades, right? Phase three, not phase one, phase two. What app was that? Reads headlines out. Benzinga Pro. Go to my link tree and hit the link in my bio. There is actually, if anybody's looking to actually purchase Benzinga, they have the free trial that you guys can use with your phone number. But if you are looking to actually buy it, I do have a discount code, so make sure to hit me up for that. It's for the Black Friday discount code. So we get price upgrades by notable institutions and banks. We have earnings, right? Earnings are always going to bring in price upgrades, but also attract buyers, and big headlines and stuff like that. Usually will get dropped during these times. We also have um, I don't use scans personally. I think Benzinga Pro is about as close to Bloomberg that you can get without having a Bloomberg terminal as far as news is concerned. But I'm sure that scans, I just don't pay for that kind of stuff. If I'm going to pay for something, it's got to be worth it. TradingView, I pay for TradingView. Um, I, I mean, I pay for a lot of stuff, but I pay for Benzinga Pro for those reasons. So, yeah, Fubo had earnings. So it doesn't, so that's a catalyst, right? For a trader, Fubo dumping,
that's great because they can make money to the downside. We are, as day traders, are looking for volatility in any form. So if we have a stock that gets bad news or has good earnings and still falls, it still provides volatility. If it's really good earnings and you understand that, then all you have to do is maybe go take a look. Was it priced in? Maybe it was priced in. Maybe that's why it fell because it ran up into earnings. But having a intuition about things does help when it comes to those. Because if you have a stock that's been sitting flat, like if TSM had earnings, right? And the way that it's been sitting, which they had earnings back in October and they were sitting at their bottom and they since have ran to the top of this zone, filling a gap all the way to 124. Now, if you would have just bought on earnings, because guess what? On earnings, they gapped up and they didn't fall. In fact, you had two chances to buy. You could at 112.60, which seemed like the best place. But if they had an earnings coming up again, then maybe now I think they're weighed down by tensions, over there. But that's something that would attract me is a stock that hasn't moved too much in earnings. But anyway, so price upgrades, earnings, acquisitions, right? Or being acquired. So acquisitions, partnerships, okay, large investments, right? So we have like a Berkshire investment or something like that. Some a notable figure. So you could put notable figure or something like that. And then I think at some point, right, there's just sector, you have sympathy. So that's kind of what I would throw out there for you guys. Is something to write down. So hopefully that helped. But so Adam, would you say understanding what is priced in and what is not gives a better understanding of momentum on the news? Right. So if a stock has moved a lot before earnings, then the likelihood of it continuing to move in that direction does seem to lower a little bit, but that's not a guarantee because we can run up into things. Um, hopefully that answers your question about how to find or scan for a good trade, Clevis. Um, can you talk a little bit more about gaps that need to be covered? For example, the gap on Disney. Manny, yeah, for sure. So, I mean, I don't know exactly like what you mean by talk about it. But if you're meaning like what is a gap is usually caused by some type of catalyst, right? So bad news, good news, bad news. There you go, right there. So you have good news on Disney, gap up, push up, which honestly, you have to ask yourself sometimes, like, all right, we just gapped up before earnings, right? What is the likelihood that we actually continue to go up like that on Disney, right? Sometimes you have to like ask yourself, is that even possible? Like, now sometimes stocks will prove you wrong, but looking at the chart here, you could have marked out a major zone, which was right here, and this one's actually already here for you here, right? So now we know that once a stock, as far as a gap is concerned, a gap starts when a company's price closes at a higher or lower mark and then opens up at a significantly lower or higher mark. So right here in this case, 173.84 is where we close. And then where we open is all the way down at 163, leaving a gap on the chart. Gaps attract buyers. Buyers often come in the form of high frequency traders. And those people will look to go and fill those gaps. So would I explain a little bit why falling wedges are one of my favorite setups? Well, one of the reasons why falling wedges are one of my favorite setups, one of my favorite setups is going to be the inverse head and shoulders. I think the inverse head and shoulders is an underrated pattern, but it also comes with a high guarantee of reversal. At that point, it does play into almost the wick off or theory or even just your basic supply and demand. And it shows accumulation. So, but in this case, when I see things like this, it shows me that sellers are losing momentum and buyers are picking up the slack. So as we fall, right, we make a leg down, buyer step up. We make a leg down, buyer step up. We do make a big push down, but then we kind of stay in range 155, 153. That's a decent range for Disney, and volume starts to pick up. But these candles, right, if we were to go out to the 4 hour, right, or maybe even just the daily, we could start to see weakness in these candles. Now, a falling wedge, statistically based on my statistics alone, okay? So don't go quote me and say this is a fact. This is my observation, has yet to be 100% proved. But from what I can tell, on a falling wedge of any given time frame, you can expect a 50% retracement of that pattern's high. Okay, so 50% from where, right? And this could go into fibs if you're using Fibonacci extensions or retracement. That it has something to do with it, but 50%, which would be probably around 158, 158.50 on Disney would be where I would expect to see the bounce. And that's exactly what falling wedges, or where falling wedges occur, is usually from places or from a downtrend. And it comes as sellers lose momentum. And that leaves me to believe that at some point, if sellers leave, buyers will step up and increases the likelihood of that trade going in your direction. So hopefully that answers your question there. Is DraftKings a falling wedge? It was, but it flushed it. So any pattern, okay, can be blown. Bullish, bearish, doesn't matter what it is. Any pattern can not work. And usually the way that you can do that or see if that's even going to happen is through candlestick analysis, volume analysis, and as well as supply and demand. If you have a falling wedge or a rising wedge out in the middle of nowhere, then oftentimes, or if it just isn't, it's deformed, right? Then oftentimes that it doesn't come into play at all. So, but anyway, so Disney, a lot of explanation there, but that's my thoughts on Disney at the moment. So, all right, so I'm just gonna kind of pick around, guys. I'm not really like doing too much charting. So if you guys have any more questions, please keep it coming. Thoughts on Facebook? Saw in your title, was wondering the price target you have on it. Well, that's a good question because I don't have one, but we can find one. So at the moment, Facebook is trying to pull off a bit of a reversal here. So what a mess, first of all, but it's a beautiful mess. So this is normally what you would want to see when you're building some type of continue or even a rounded bottom, right? So if you're building things like a rounded bottom, okay, which is going to come like that, it's a nice rounded bottom, you more than likely are going to be looking at your previous resistance, which is going to happen here at 355. Above 355, I anticipate and one of the reasons I have that mark is 350 is really where we're struggling right now. And you can see that is the level that we broke. The ceiling becomes the floor, or the floor becomes the ceiling. And in this case, the floor became the ceiling, and that's where we need to get back above in order to make any progress. So back above 350, right? And we have seen some notable rejections here. But back above 350 would be where we could see Facebook move to the upside. But this has the energy of a double top. All right. So whether or not that will end up playing out that way, I'm not exactly sure. But it is more than likely going to continue to pull back at least. And I'm looking right now. I think you could see a leg down to 343.75. If this is a double top, then expect a pullback, probably a pretty strong one down to the 330s. So daily time frame, you could absolutely go and retest. And these wicks right here on the daily absolutely show sellers, and you see volume picking up.
you see that momentum indicators lagging a little bit as well, you should be making higher highs. So you're going to want to see a reversal this week, or you're going to want to stay in range. But at the moment, there is a heavy amount of sellers volume profile. So take a look right there. You can see the volume's pretty high in this range. So get back above this range, 355, 65, and then we can start heading back up. But that is a MACD. No, that is not a MACD. This is a TTM squeeze. RIVN will fall. I'm telling you guys, please stop chasing green candles. If you didn't get in before, don't get in at all. There will always be another trade. I think some people FOMO so hard that they are blinded by the potential of future movements. So, where to learn TA? I have plenty of new haircut, the black shirt. Thank you, appreciate that. Steve Jobs like. Yeah, I think Rivian will likely fall. I think EVs are going to pull back. I think Lucid could pull back. I think a lot of these will move back as well. So RSI on Disney being below 30 influences your influence. Yes, Duncan, absolutely. Absolutely. Disney, look at how bad that is. So absolutely is going to influence the fact that and I'm not the only one. Everything is an agreed upon thing, right? I see it. Other people see it. We all see it, but it's also just the mere fact, buy the dip, right? The old just buy the dip saying buy when there's blood in the streets. Well, there's a lot of blood right here. So but anyway. Um let's see. Do I like PROG? Let's go ahead and let's do PROG, all right? Because you guys have asked me enough. You deserve it. You deserve it. Do you spend I have no idea what happened with G Tech, Tyler. I didn't even see it. Anyway, my Discord has a ton of the technical analysis technical analysis setups. If you're looking for books, I have thousands of dollars worth of books on my Discord, so you guys are welcome to check that out. Well, let me ask you guys a question. Do you think wanting to catch the best play in the entire market influences your stock picking? Because if it does, you can't do that. You're not going to get the best one. You're not. You're not. And sometimes you're in the perfect place at the perfect time, and you know who's there first? People with conviction and people who are doing the research. So if you're somebody who's looking to take advantage of a low flow or a highly shorted flow, it's the people who are buying before there is a sign. It's the people who are taking action before the action happens, and that's where people get. It's literally yeah, this is volume profile. What? Yeah. Well, there's multiple volume profile. Yeah, exactly. So, all right, volume profile, go to indicators. If you want to see this, go to my YouTube channel. You'll be able to see it a little bit clearer. If you want a chart on BA, I already did that one. But you just go to built-ins, go to volume profile. They have visible range, right? Visible range. Let me explain this to you guys. Visible range means it's the definitions in the word. The visible range, the range that you can see when you do this. Now, if I do this, the visible range changes, right? Now it's only this much data, and it will give you the most. So if you just want to know about the nearest 5 days, right? I want the nearest 5 days of data. Then that will show you the where the volume profile is strongest at, or the point of control. So that's how you do that. And then if you want fixed range, you can click on that one, and that's where you drag it to where you want it, and it stays there no matter where you scale in and out. So there was a 157 million dark pool print on Facebook. That would make a whole lot of sense looking at Facebook's chart. So um yeah, I mean, hopefully, I mean, looking at the chart, this shows accumulation, in my opinion. This shows buyers present, you know, yeah, that I don't know. 157 million, you know, if that person's really buying 157 million dollars, I don't think they're worried about this to this. They're not trading there. That's an investment. So Rivian volatility. Rivian is likely going to pull back. Can I explain highs and volume? So the point of control is essentially just for the basic definition, it's going to be the highest concentration of buying and selling occurs. That's where that's going to happen. So thank you guys. I appreciate it. Lucid will likely see similar price action, unfortunately. Here's a key rule of thumb. If you bought on a daily candle, if 50% of that daily candle is lost and is not recovered before the end of the day, more than likely you will see a pullback. So just for future reference, if you have a daily candle, right? Now I'm saying like a pin bar, something sizable, not a doji, but which you could factor in as well. A doji, you can use the wick on both sides to entry for an entry and exit. But 50% of the previous day's candle is usually where you'll see losses occur. For Macy's, if you guys don't remember, that's where our first TP mark was because we were anticipating a bounce. But once it broke it, it was good to add. So yeah, I get asked all the time, but it's fine. What trading or charting platform? Trading is TradingView, but I am opening up. I just opened up a Tastyworks. Let's go look that up, guys. You guys ready? We talked about Tastyworks. So I'll go ahead and I'll see if my account is approved right now. So I'll go do that right now, and I'll go ahead and drop $1,000 in this right now if it is. Looks like I am not approved yet for depositing stuff. That'll likely happen on Monday. So we'll finish that up. But that's what I'm doing is I'm dropping $1,000 in this account, and the bot that is in our chat, we're only going to be taking the plays that come in off of that bot. So Microsoft, I haven't looked at it. I do not use Flow Algo. The flow, most of the flow goes directly into my premium Discord. So I do also look at flow on Benzinga Pro. And oftentimes, I know this sounds really weird, but it's like reading the tape. Oftentimes, it's like reading the tape. I'll be watching it, guys, and it will say, I'll see Amazon 9 times. I'm going in, right? And it's not that easy, but oftentimes it's going to attract me. I do think that yeah, we will get, yeah, you guys saw that pullback on IWN. So what is your profile picture? So it's essentially like an options flow bot, but it has a high probability. We've back tested it. Some people have been doing it already. Somebody with $1,000 account is up $1,000 at the moment from using it. So it's I have a free not a free, but I have a 5-day trial in my website. A link in my bio in my Discord. You guys can check it out. But it is and in the future, we will be implementing a new system for new people coming in. But it is, you know, hopefully for those traders who have been trading for a while. If you're new, I want to just give you the recommendation to not pay for anything, to not pay for my stuff. Don't pay for anybody's stuff. Just stay outside of the guardrails and learn. There's so many free books in my Discord. There's so much free information, graphics, everything for you guys to learn from. So you guys can check that out. I will not be yeah, paper trade. Yeah, paper trade if you guys need to practice. So if you're outside of the chat, just paper trade for now. But all right. Yeah, my bad. I'll do progressive. I got to talking. So first of all, PROG popping up here. This is a clear reversal sign, big volume, full engulfment. You finished right there at $4.89, right at the body. Both bodies sat here. So my personal opinion here is to use the wick at 515 for the entry, right? And you can see that's most of where the resistance is at the moment. So 515, you have 535 as well, right above you. See some wicks sellers up there. Look at the volume profile. Lots of volume up there. And then the volume tends to dissipate here up in this level. So if you approach this level with higher volume and momentum, then I would anticipate seeing PROG run and clear these, wipe those shorts out relatively easy. So 620 being where that wick fill is at the moment. And I know that they have a high price target, and that's often or that is what is currently attracting buyers. So 582, and then the wick there at 620. So no, it's the option flow AI. So it's the bot right here, and I know you guys can't really see it. There are plenty of apps on the App Store for this. For what? Um, so trading in the zone is good. In my Discord, I have a ton of books, a ton of videos already linked in there in the free part. So there's a free part that is completely free, course material, tons like literal books. So you guys can go in there, read those books, listen to those audiobooks. I will be, like I said, we're going to be filling it up this year. And I will be taking a week off sometime starting in January, possibly. But before that, I will be completely loading my Discord with basically a full course. And what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be making a test that people can take in order to even see if they're ready to start trading options. Because I think one of the things that I'm seeing the most, and it's disappointing, but not because I'm disappointed in the people doing it, but it's disappointing that the point hasn't gotten across that patience is the first thing that you have to learn when you're doing this. So people get impatient because they want to make these gains that they see people making, and then they start to run before they can walk, and they tumble, and then they make a judgment on their trading at that point, and they feel discouraged, and they make an emotional judgment at that point, which is not necessary. You don't have to do that. You need to stay outside of you need safety, and you need a lack of exposure and slowly leg yourself into an actual trading condition. And so if you have that $100,000 to trade, then maybe start, and you don't know how to trade, don't do that. Start with 500 and set a goal and do that. Build that, and then do it again, and then do it again, and then do it again. So having patience is the number one thing in this game, and that's why I think that I've been successful, because I understand what I'm good at, and I stick to it until I'm good at other shit. And I don't force myself to try and be a trader that I'm not a 30, 40, 50 contract filling scalper. That's not who I am. I can't handle that, right? I know that sounds crazy, but I cannot handle that, and I don't want to put myself in a position to do that. I also prefer swing trading over day trading because I like a lack of exposure to the market, because it takes less of the emotional judgment out of it. And so if you're going to trade, you need to basically acclimate yourself in that way, where you're basically going at what works for you rather than trying to force every like it's so it can be a snowball effect if you don't act correctly. So have have patience, have faith, right, in yourself. Have you know, not even just work hard. Listen, ask questions, bother people, bother me. All right, you guys got to start bothering people who are willing to answer your questions. Don't bother them, obviously, bad, like, say please, but like ask these questions. So these questions that you guys are asking tonight are awesome. And they even help me because I get to answer them and remind myself. Um,
So, Cade, swing trading for me, the way that I swing trade is normally with momentum, right? So when I swing trade, like let's say I see a daily break on Apple, and I'll give you an example on Apple right here. So Apple likes to move pretty well when it breaks major points of resistance right here. So you still get pretty decent moves to the upside. So Apple right here breaking this nice downtrend, running up to this standard deviation. This offers a good swing trade, and I'll tell you why. Because the first initial breakout here came with really, really high volume. And it even tapped the previous demand zone above you right there at that 155 mark. So it gave you a clean, you're always expecting rejection there, but you see good solid volume while you break out. And so what I would be looking to do is simply trade the short swing. So from the day's close today into 30 minutes into tomorrow's open is around the time that I'm going to be scaling out of that trade. So I am actually dealing with less time in the market and less exposure to the volatility, right? You're exposed to futures, you're exposed to things that you can't control, right? So you can't get out of a position. But with swing trading, you always have to hedge yourself in some regard. So you have to agree to lose a very small amount of money in any circumstance at all, right? So if I decided to take Apple past, right, so we closed that day at 153, we day traded it, and the first target that I have to the upside it is 156, right? And that's where I'm going to be string. So I'm going to take a 156 or maybe even a 160 call. Maybe, right? I might go to SPY and I might go identify, okay, where is my if I pulled back, where would SPY pull back? Okay, I see right here at 463.50 is where my 20-day EMA is also a support there. So I'm going to go grab an option contract with a shorter expiration, and I'm going to hold on to that, and I'm going to basically hedge myself overnight. So that way, if something bad happens that I can't predict, for one, I'm using proper risk management. So if that happens, I'm not going to wipe my portfolio. I'm okay. And secondly, if it is a drastic enough pullback to affect my position, SPY will pull back, and more than likely I'll be able to take profit on the puts. If there's a gap above me on Apple, then I'm going to day trade that small hourly gap, and we're going to fill it to the upside, take profit on the majority of those positions, and make a decision there. So, and that's me just making up a plan right then and there. Right as you asked me that question, that would be my first initial plan, right? Because that's what it takes. You have to find the setup and go make a plan. And that's how you do it. So, those of you guys asking, Adam Havoc, answering questions here, moderator right now. Mr. Burns, if hedging's not your style, that's fine. But I hedge for my safety. I've actually made a ton of money hedging. And you can even buy VIX as well. So, the VIX. So, but Adam Havoc, I was going to say, is he had the won the giveaway for the 6 month giveaway the last time we did it. So he can tell you a little bit about what it's like in our chat. So, no, I don't necessarily gapping down versus gapping up. I don't like gap ups. I love gap downs. I don't do iron condors. So as far as I do, but only if I need to. I don't. Yeah, I don't. It's not my thing. I'm not. If I can't trade something the way that I want to, I'm just not going to. So, yeah, I'm. If you guys have any requests here on the TikTok, then make sure to hit the link in my bio and go to the YouTube channel. And I'm answering questions there because it's hard for me to catch all of these questions here. So, how much money to start day trading options? It's not that is the wrong question to ask. I mean, the straight up answer is you need a lot of money, right? And I don't mean like you need a good amount of money to just day trade. Um, Now, can you day trade or trade with $500 and build it up? Yes, but the amount of patience that requires
and the amount of risk management and planning that that requires, it's going to take a while. So, in order to day trade profitably every single day and have that be your career, you have to have some type of cushion underneath you. So, in order to pay yourself, you have to be able to not pull when you pull money out or you take profit, you don't want to be affecting your P&L or your ability to trade. You're too lazy to go to YouTube. Cowgirl Crypto, you got it, man. Come on. There you go, hustler story. I appreciate you. All right. Yeah, we'll take a look at HD. So hopefully that answered you guys' question. So personally, I do believe that you have probably another flat day here on HD, but personally, I don't see any reason why HD isn't going to go. I think I'm thinking that we're going to go and see the 425s, but my target was 410 and 400. I know HD was a lot of fun to trade, but one of the key things that I'm usually looking for on a run, we're overbought. We're also lagging, so that's one of the main things. I use my EMAs obviously as trend, finders, setters, resistance, support sometimes. But if they're lagging too far behind the price, oftentimes it's going to pull back and they're going to go meet each other, right? So here you get a little bit too extended, and so it just trades flat. So that's the question here, is whether or not we trade flat. Now, the current high and low of the candle yesterday would likely mark where I would be looking to buy and sell. So if this mark of 404.50, right, broke, then more than likely we would see a pullback, and that would be to the $400 mark for a $400 retest, which would probably make sense, seeing that it's a psychological number. And normally, anytime you break a level, you're going to retest it. So with HD, I think that the volume slowing down a little bit and the doji here at the top could indicate just a little bit of a pullback. You also have dividends here. I don't know how they perform on dividends. We'll find out here. It looks like they pulled back, but they were already kind of in a downtrend after an extraordinary run. Dividends doesn't seem to affect them hardly at all there. That is a beautiful EMA crossover there. EMA crossover over the point of control as well. So in my opinion, I think you just need to hold this new level like you have before. Now, it doesn't mean that you're going to necessarily hold it in the same manner, but you also are going into the holiday season, and with building supplies, inflation, but mostly the housing market still exploding, then it's probably not outside of the question to at least hold your ground and then leg up from there. So the advice and resources you've made available are so helpful for starting off. Awesome. That's really awesome to hear, Jasmine. I appreciate that. Hey, but I lost over $15,000 tradings. I have about 8K left and I need some help flipping it. Could you help? Well, my first recommendation, if that was my account, would be to get rid of about most of that. So put all of it away. You don't have 8K anymore. You have $500. And now you need a strategy and you need to start building that $500, which means that you need to start looking at every single trade ahead of time, which means that you need to have an entry, an exit, an entry, an exit, and a stop loss. So my recommendation a lot of the times is I will look for more or less some of the most basic patterns to start trading small. I personally grew, it depends on the brokerage that you have, but I personally have grown my accounts simply by swing trading. Small accounts are easy to swing trade. Because you are exposed to less volatility, which is going to essentially cause you have less control, which basically is good because as a new trader, you're going to overreact to a lot. And so I would start with $500 and start paper trading anytime you run out of BP or if you just have taken the trade and it didn't work out. That would just be where I would start. But honestly, if you've lost that much, it's really tough emotionally to come back. So I would make sure that you are on your feet in an emotion, like emotionally, or just hustler story. It says your message was retracted, but hopefully that helped. Um,
but
I just lost my train of thought.
oh, so yeah, the mental effect of trading, or losing that much money, can be debilitating. So maybe take a step back and just kind of start looking for an easy to trade strategy like gap fills. Some people only trade hourly time frame gap fills, and they have scanners built just for that. So, um, Kuro, there's been a mad interest in AMC. So AMC broke double top on weekly. Yes, it did. Yes, 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 it did. I'm sorry, but if that thing rips again, who knows? Jesus Christ. See, I've been trying to short net for a minute, bro. Don't short that thing. You will get waxed. I tried to short it. It was a bad time. I think I actually made money on it, but it was just not fun for my runners. All right. Thank you. Yes, I did. I'm spread still December. Want to hold 405, 409. Okay, cool. Good stuff. Let's take a look at CEI. Oh my God. Yo, I'm sorry. The fact that this thing won't even show up on my chart just makes me want to die. I'm just kidding, TikTok. It's just a joke. Don't freak out. All right. Unfortunately, yep. I think you're going to go back to 90 cents. You gapped up and you filled your gap to the downside. So if there was ever a time to bounce, it would probably be soon, but you have no volume. So unfortunately, at the moment, yeah, I think you had your pop, but you're sitting flat, which is good. But other than that, I have no more words of wisdom for you. Unfortunately, you are squeezing. Um, maybe, yeah, I'm not going to stretch it. Maybe. Yeah, I'm not going to do that either. So yeah, I don't have anything to say. Unfortunately, $1. If you lose $1, that's the level that you're at currently. Looks like you're going to pull back to. Um, unless some type of news comes out, I've got nothing for CEI except for it's flat and nobody wants it right now. So nobody with big pockets anyway. It already got used and abused by the Furus. Man, well, I tell you what, I want to believe that plug power is going to go to $48.55, and I will take that above $45.28 for that $48 trip to the upside. But I will say that unfortunately, if the EVs pull back, then more than likely plug could too, because it runs with that. But plug did fill. Oh, it doesn't. No, it still has. Plug actually has the remainder of a gap to fill at $46. So you could see a tap there, but other than that, that's all I got for you. Neo. Let's see. Ooh, let's see what our whole event indicator looks like. You're there. You made it above it, so I don't see any reason why not. That was a good short that we did take out on it, but it's kind of right there at that moment of truth. So no. Do you think AMD looks like it's near the bottom of the channel? I'll take a look at it in a minute. 10K news on CEI. Nice. What is there a Shinobi coin?
These teach you techniques to save you time every day. Visit bluewayfrom.com, D814.
No more shit coins. Bro, I'm gonna block you. Say Shib Nobu coin one more time. I dare you. Do it. Do it. Ready? My finger's right here, dude. I'm so ready. Look at it. Look at my fingers shaking. shaking. I want to ban you so bad. Oh shit! Don't say it again though. Say it again. What's a good risk management on say a $5,000 beginner? I'd say stay under 2, 3. I mean, 5%, per trade depends. I mean, you got to grow that account, so I would keep your risk low, um, and just move. That's still considered a small account. No, whatever that weird coin that he was talking about, Shib Neo, it's a new one. That man just started following me too. What's a medium sized account? I would say about 25K. Not even, probably 50. It's a good size account though. Last one. This one came in on the AI bot. Or excuse me, no. This one came in the sweeps. Golden Sweep did have a lucid $52 call for 11.26, but that one might get striked out. You also had plug $60 strike 120 come in. So I feel like plug keeps coming up. So I'm gonna write it down. So real quick, while everybody's watching, well, not unfortunately, I will not be trading live. I traded live all last week, but I will not be trading live anywhere else but Discord. So it will just be Discord. It will be YouTube pre-market prep, as always, and I will do a couple after hours, of course, TikTok as well. But if you guys are new, don't take this as pressure. I have to attend to the people who have just joined the chat. This is also the last week. We will be closing more than likely, at least unless something happens or changes this, but more than likely we will be closing December for the rest of the year as far as taking any new members. So that'll give people who are new time to obviously learn a little bit more. But that is again just we're doing a Black Friday sale on our yearly stuff. But that's just for now. So the week after this week, this upcoming week, we'll be back on live. We'll trade live again with everybody. But for now, I'm going to be focused in on the majority of the people who are still in the Discord. I'm going to be holding a few classes. Power Shop are basically just talking about risk management, pattern trading, volume, stuff like that. So we're gonna have a couple basically like group one-on-ones where basically people we're not gonna be looking at charts, but more or less answering questions about losses, gains, right? Beginner questions. So oh my god. I'm sorry, Carper Foom Global. I loved you. Our relationship was cold. Goodbye, my friend. He thought I wasn't gonna block him. I did it. All right. What or how market makers use algorithms to benefit themselves? Algorithms are used by market makers constantly. Milliseconds trades are made. So books, all my books are in my Discord and they are free. Discord, link in the bio. All right. I haven't gotten to all of the other people yet. So, all right, I'm going to do a few more and then we're going to go. But one of the ones I wanted to bring to your attention, if I can find it. We also had a burl. Hold on a second. I'm going to set some alerts on something, guys, because we got a burl 265. Never mind. Fuck that. 160 strike.
We got a 5-9. Oh God. Ooh. Look at that gap, baby. Hey, we're gonna have to set some alerts on this one, right? Damn, it moves. It moves up to 152. All right. LVN. What is that entertainment group that Travis Scott is a part of? LVN, Live Nation Entertainment. Live LYV. Okay. Guys, keep your eyes peeled on LYV. This one had major flow coming into it as well, and has a major falling wedge here on the daily as well. So this one's going to make be the last one that I add. But definitely worth watching tomorrow. Going to be watching that one above 113. We had some decent flow coming in for that one as well. So, alrighty. So AMD right now has all the looks of a potential rising wedge. Now, whether or not this is rising wedges can be kind of hard to track on the higher time frame. At the moment, it looks as if AMD will pull back. AMD is likely going to pull back below 154. 154 with probably the target of 150. I would say at the lowest 151.85, but 152.50 is where that would likely pull back. Then you could see a bounce up into the 161 mark for AMD. But at the moment, it has a hourly rising wedge. The daily time frame is also looking a little bit lackluster, overbought, and the TTM is about to roll over to the downside. So look at you guys. You guys got a ton of okay. So TSM. First of all, TSM is running into dividends and earnings, so we could see it start run into earnings. It unfortunately has been sitting flat for almost since since February. It has literally stayed in range for that entire time. So I don't know if we're going to get a parabolic movement from TSM, but it does look as if 175 or 125.75 is where that mark is to move to the upside with the 127.35 mark above it. And then you also have a micro gap at 132.45 all the way to 133.35 that could potentially get filled to the upside. So that would be the target that I would give you guys is 133.50. MU is literally where I'm going next. Yes, so MU, as I discussed here previously, is broken out to the upside, does have a gap below it. So anywhere below 181 or 81.55, and we're out of there. So you guys need to hold that level 81.50 is where that needs to hold. Otherwise, sellers are going to start looking to take it to the gap. It likely could hold its ground, and that's essentially what you want to see because a lot of these indicators are lagging off of that explosion to the upside, and you're going to want to cool off this RSI as it climbs into the overbought territory. It did have a really nice falling wedge, but again, you are slap up against that major resistance. So you're going to want to either break above 84 and hold underneath 85, or you're going to want to hold under 84 and consolidate above 81.50, 81.75 in order to break above 85. So that would be what I'd be looking for there. You do look good going into earnings, but again, a lot of the times indecision can start to play off. And one of the things that I will tell you guys again and again is that what I say or what I'm talking about going into earnings can absolutely not happen. Absolutely 100% not happen. And one of the reasons that is because earnings brings in volatility and indecision, fear, greed, all of those things combined, which makes for some really, really choppy weather that often can't be charted. So, anyway, that's about that. So how do you know if the stock is going to go rather than drop like the rest of the gainers? Relative strength. Look at the volume and go back and look at like previous days volume. If the volume is incredibly high and you make a significant move to the upside and the news and it's coming off of something like earnings,
or a partnership with a huge company, then more it's all about feeling out the news and understanding volume, relative volume. So that would be my answer to that, Clevis. But anyway, guys, thank you for a awesome session. Make sure you guys leave a like on this YouTube video. If you guys are interested in joining us for our lives later on in the week that we will be doing just for specifically charting, you guys can become members here on the YouTube channel. That will just basically include you on any after hours live session that we have with me, period. So I will always do them on live and include any members outside of the chat. So that is one way. If you guys don't want to be in the Discord, have no use for it, then always feel free to do that. Otherwise, we do again have our we only have a limited amount of spots. I think it's somewhere around 50 spots for our 5-day trial for the Discord. We do have a yearly discount code for 25%. Again, if you guys are brand new, please do not pay for anything. Continue to learn on the outside. Do not FOMO into anybody's group, and don't think because my group is closing that you guys aren't going to be able to get in. It's the end of the year. I'm going to be busy. You guys are going to be busy. So more than likely, I'm going to be focusing on making sure that all of our members are where they're at, doing well, or progressing, learning, et cetera, et cetera. So a lot of the times I like to reel it in. So you guys make sure that you guys are just watching our lives, watching our pre-market prep, have an entry, exit, and a plan, and you guys won't have any anxiety going into your trade. So, but anyways, thank you again. Make sure to leave a like here on this video. And I will talk to you guys here on YouTube tomorrow morning. So catch you guys at 8:30 Eastern time. Peace out. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate you. Peace.